Hey guys, it's Josh, Jeff, and Terry, and today we're talking about the power of community. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
Hey, welcome to Leave No Doubt, and today we're going to talk about the power of community. We're going to talk about the power of being in a positive community, because when we think about this, we could be in all sorts of community. In fact, by default, you're in a bunch of different communities. You're in your work community, your family community, your friends community, all these different communities that you're a part of. And those communities have an influence on you. And if you think about it, your mom always told you, be careful who you hang around with, right? I don't want you hanging around with certain people, because they know that people and communities have influence on us. And so we want to make sure we're part of the right community and the positive community. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Now, in doing that, we might mention some of the ways that we can fall into the wrong type of community, but we're really going to focus on how do we get ourselves into the right type of community. So, Jeff, you've been a part of a community for a long time. I have. And a bunch of different communities, but actually one with me and Josh for a long time that I think has been a positive one. What do you think about the power of community?
I think power of community is extremely important in our lives. You know, especially as we take a look in the season of COVID that we're in, where we've been going through that for the last, well, it seems like 500 years, but it's really, 18 months or so.
And everything's spiking again.
And everything, yeah.
Sorry we didn't bring our masks. We should have.
I think we're good.
Are we not supposed to get political with the mask thing? This would work for all of us. You get the oldest one. Sorry.
I know.
Go ahead.
But in the season of COVID that we are in, it's just, I think even brought this even more to light, how powerful community is. And like you said, there's people get it from all over the place. Sometimes they get it from work, sometimes it's from some other organization that's outside. I mean, everyone has their things that they do. But it's almost like we're designed to do that, right? We seem to find the things that we know that we need in our lives, and community just happens to be one of those things. We know that we need to have that interaction with other people, that there's just something inherent in us that needs it. Now, I know there are those personalities out there that some will say, I really don't want to be around people. But as Terry looks at Josh, right? We all have our little fun, personality quirks that we have. And there's also the people that really kind of latch on to community, and that's all that they really know, and maybe even can go to a little bit of an extreme sometimes with that. But it's almost like we're designed to do that. We're designed to be interactive with other people. We're designed to have those relationships. Naturally, we are rational, relational beings, that we want to be around other people where we can have that difference of thought, a difference of opinion, and have those conversations on a variety of other things. It's just kind of inherent in us. And so, I mean, that's one thing that's COVID is especially brought up in my life, just the need for that community that's sitting around us that we have, whether it could be anything, right? It could be anything from a simple basketball team that you're on. I mean, that's a community, right? I mean, there's all kinds of ways we can do this. Now, we could say whether that's positive or negative, depending on the community, we don't know, but that's still a community. Or it could be a group of friends from church, or it could be some coworkers. There's all of these different communities, but everyone seems to have those things that they line up with that they want to be a part of, and there's tremendous influence in that in our lives as we go. It really does either help us or hurt us in those. So as we talk about the power of positive community, we want to try to look at how can we take that design that we know we have to be in that community, and how do we take that and go out there and find it? How do we go do it? What are those things that we should be looking for in community? Because there's some things that make it a positive or make it a negative. And what are those things? And Josh is actually going to start us off with a little bit of that, some of those things that as we are out there looking for community and out there filling that hole, that design that's in us, what are those things that we should be looking for?
So as Josh, as you get into this, Jeff, what I hear you saying is we're talking about intentionally finding a positive community of growth, rather than just like falling into the communities that you normally fall into. I know you're part of a lot of basketball teams.
Oh, right? Tons of them.
Whatever, but you have all these default communities, but we're talking about how do we find the positive, seek out the positive ones that are really good for us.
Yeah. As you were speaking, that was something that came to mind is, especially in more modern days, community has been almost virtualized to the point that, well, I've got a bunch of friends on my social media platform, and they comment and we share photos back and forth, and that is a community. But to Terry's point, it's not so much a purposeful community where you've bonded with a set of individuals with a specific intent. And that specific intent would be to grow, not just yourself, but each other. And with Jeff talking about the design, it really gets into what is it that when you join a community, what are you really looking for? Like, why are we driven for that? And I think the heart of it, there's a piece of it that you want to feel accepted. You want to feel approved, and you want to be appreciated for who you are. And then you want to be able to share what you have with others and help them feel accepted and appreciated and approved.
Yeah.
And when you don't have those things, purposefully seeking them out with intentionality of improving yourself and others around you, you'll fall into whatever makes you feel accepted or approved or appreciated. And like we said, some of that is not always for the best. We tend to just fall into things if we're not intentional with them. And we keep using the word intentional, but there really needs to be a, why am I around this group of people? Why am I investing my time and my talent with these other goons, as we've called each other sometimes? That what are we not just what are we getting out of it, but what are we contributing to it? And I think to some extent that sounds really boring at times when you just say, I just want to show up and feel accepted for who I am. But there's ways to do that that are much more entertaining.
Yeah.
We're going to toss it to Terry to talk about that.
Yeah, I think that's a good segue into the fun side of community, because while you're talking about intentionality, and you guys both kind of touching on the idea of community, positive community, and accepting, improving, appreciating what you're looking for, and having those people around you. Like you said, Josh, you can start to feel a little bit sterile, a little bit like, okay, this is what it's, I'm going to this community so that I can get some growth and whatnot. But I think it's important for a community to be entertaining, to have fun. And there's lots of communities that do that, but if you find the right type of community that does have the growth and does have some of the things we'll talk about with accountability and self-growth and relationships and being challenging and all that kind of stuff, when you find that right community, you also have to have some fun with it too. You have to make sure that you're enjoying being around people, and learning and growing and fostering that environment to bring people back, right? Because everybody in a community is at a different point in life, right? There are some people there that are just like digestive. Maybe you're more introverted, but you feel like, oh, people don't judge me here; they just accept me. And by bringing people into that community that way, they enjoy that, so that's fun for them. There are people there who love community, and maybe they're the person that cracks the jokes or has the fun or that kind of stuff, right? So that the community needs to foster all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, that, like you're saying, Josh, that accepting, improving, appreciating aspect of it also needs to the foundation has to be laid there. You can't just say, I'm looking for a fun community. You have to have the right foundation first.
Yeah.
And then you have to move it into the fun side too. It has to have that aspect of it.
So as we continue down the path of community here, right? So we've talked about not being alone, kind of by design. I mean, we've talked about accept, approve, and appreciate. We've talked about having fun, and that's a free part of. No one likes being around anyone. It tends to fall apart. But when you find those types of communities, the next point here that we're going to talk about becomes extremely important, because it really does foster the personal growth in us, and honestly the growth of the entire group, which is accountability, right? And that's when I say that us three have known each other for 10 plus years, and that's when I take a look at the community that we're involved in, is one of the biggest things that I know that I get out of it. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's tons of things we get out of our relationship, but accountability is one of them. Someone to be able to go to and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, or I want to do this, just make sure that I follow up with you on it, so that I'm just not letting it fall down, or that some of those accountability things, or someone to talk to when there is a struggle going on in marriage or children or whatever, work, right? Being able to have those types of people to be able to bounce those ideas of, to actually really have that true accountability in our lives, to make sure that we are intentionally growing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of even unspoken or you'll have to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Just knowing that these guys are in it with me, that they're purposefully trying to grow, they're purposefully trying to become a better person personally and then socially as well. Just seeing that piece of accountability can also force yourself to kind of assess, okay, am I really going to be in this for the right reasons? Am I going to
Like a positive peer pressure.
It's a positive peer pressure, exactly, and it's nonverbal even.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you have something?
Nope.
I was going to say, based on what you said there, Josh, that whole concept of that positive peer pressure is so powerful, because if you get in a group of people where, and I say everybody, where maybe just a certain percentage, it can be just a small percentage of people too, are trying to learn and grow. If you want that out of it, right, you can get different things out of a community. You can just be around a group of people to make hey, I'm enjoying these friends and I'm laughing and having a good time. But if you're in the right kind of community, and I'm thinking about the community that the one we really participate with, is we got a group of about 15 or 18 people,
Something like that.
and various amounts of us get together once a week, and then once a month in a bigger and a little bit more formal setting, and we have growth that we do. We learn different things, we study different things, we commune with each other, right? We eat together, and we have a lot of fun. And there's this sense of, there's a few things that happen. There's a sense of I want to get together and learn and grow. And you've probably felt this, like if you ever miss, you always feel like left out, because now I'm a week behind everybody and what I want to what we're learning and growing at. But the other thing of it too is you start to bond and form relationships, and you get tight with each other and you trust each other. And there's something really special about a community that really grows together and creates those bonds, because we probably, in this community, there's probably 20-25% of the people in this community, they know they could call each other at any time of the night, ask for any favor, and the other person will be like, yeah, I can help you out, right? Yeah. And it's just neat to have friends like that in a community where people are, they got each other's back, right? Mm-hmm. It's like the old saying of, who would you want in your foxhole, right? And it's just a cool way to have it. So, and again, it creates that personal growth, it creates that accountability, and it just has a great time doing it.
Yeah, so you said something really interesting in there that I kind of want to go back to. You talked about, watching a video or listening to a tape or doing something. So it kind of sounds like there's something that the community does.
We don't listen to tapes anymore, but...
That's fair enough. They're no longer called tapes. They are streaming audios.
Streaming tapes.
Streaming tapes. Yeah. I just want to see the little thing go round. Yeah. No. But, so there's intentionality even in what we do when we get together. There's something that when we get together, and not that all the time, because there's times that we even just have a night of fun where we play card games or whatever, right? So there's absolutely that aspect and that friendship that comes into that. But talk to me a little bit about media, right? How is that important in the community and even for ourselves within that community?
You want to do that?
Yeah, so the media piece, one way or another, you have media coming into your life. Whether it's coming in through just your surroundings and your environment, or you're purposefully choosing, and when I say purposefully, I mean you're making a decision to flip on the radio or flip on the television. But we're talking about being intentional with what type of media is coming into your life in order to produce an end result. And when we're talking about the books or the audios or whatnot, it can be on any topic, but you're wanting to pick media that is going to influence you in the direction that you want to go. So once you've established that, hey, here's some gaps in my life, or hey, I don't think I have any gaps in my life, which is probably a gap, the media that you choose to let in can help influence you to move beyond where your current position is. And the issue is if you're not being intentional, like I said, it's coming in regardless, and someone else has an agenda, if you will.
They have an intentionality also.
They absolutely do. Whether it's just for them to make a buck or two off of you listening or watching, or they want to impart their ideologies. There's a reason why we're sharing this content. We're hoping that those who are watching this
it was a buck or two.
Yeah, well, yeah. Donate here. But we're hoping that you're either working through or wanting to improve some area of your life that the content that we're producing can help you with, and that you're making a decision to come to our website and watch our videos and enjoy us being goofy, funny, whatever we are.
I think it was clowns and morons. Is that what you said? Or no, goons.
Goons, yeah. Goons. Although that's probably not okay to say anymore.
Goons?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
No, it's not. I've actually looked it up.
Whoops.
It's not. It's a bad word. So
sorry.
YouTube's gonna get us for that one.
Yeah, we'll edit it out. We'll bleep it out or something. Anyway, the point being, picking your content is important.
It is. Intentionality of content. Jeff, you started that conversation. Josh, you kind of continued it, and I'm going to tie it all together because I feel the need to say something about it. The intentionality is so important because you fall into these groups like your basketball team or your work group or whoever it is, right? You just fall into them and there's no intentionality there. And most people go through their entire life and never have an intentional group where there's an intentional growth to it, where they've sought it out to that. And you have some small groups with church and different things like that, but to really get something specific. And a couple of cool things about that is, just like Josh was saying, there is somebody trying to brainwash you. Right, and I, they're not just trying to make a couple bucks. They're trying to control your life. In today's world of Alexa and YouTube and social media and advertising constantly, somebody is trying to control your life. You can't drive down the road without seeing billboard after billboard after billboard, or hear advertising on the radio. I don't know if you guys are like me, but if we are watching something, and we've been watching Leave It to Beaver with Rose, right, which is a cute little wholesome show. But these commercials are horrible, so we've trained her to mute the commercial. And then I don't even want to look at the commercial. I'm always like the stubborn person that's like, you are not getting any of my subconscious, whether it's visual or audible. I'm just going to ignore it. So you got to be really intentional about that. And so somebody's brainwashing you. So you want to brainwash yourself, right? You want to get that media in there. And another thing I love about having an intentional community is it really takes the focus off yourself, right? And it allows you to have a selflessness and not worry about your problems as much, because when you're serving other people in a community and you're being a friend and you're helping them out, it gives you less time to sit and focus on your own problems, right? So it really kind of flips that whole script of like, oh, woe is me, I got this issue and this issue and this issue. You'll still have those issues, but you don't focus on them as much, because when you don't focus on them, they don't seem quite as big and they're a lot easier to handle when you're out serving other people, right? So in effect, there's no problem in your life that you can't fix or start to fix by serving other people, because it starts to minimize your issues and your problems, and you're serving other people. You get to see all their issues that you're helping them with, and you're like, well, you know what, I can't complain, right? Because there's a lot worse things that we could go through, and serving helps us realize how important that is.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff.
What's the old adage? If you took everyone's problems in a room, you put them all in a hat, and you had to draw one out, you'd want yours back. Right?
Probably would, yeah.
But I think you bring up a really good point of, once you've got the right community, keyword on the right community, and you've built up that rapport within that community, and you've started to flip that where you're not there just to consume, but you're there to give back.
Right.
It really gives you the opportunity to practice all of the things that you're learning through that media content, all of the things that you're learning within the community, those soft skills that maybe are a little scary to test out on a group you don't know, but within the group that you've established that rapport with, you're practicing them, but not in a sense of like, I'm going to practice this to see how it goes, but it's more of it's repetition. You're doing it naturally because that's the culture of the group, is to have the right actions and the right behaviors established while you're with each other, which then naturally start to play out like muscle memory when you're out with others. So that goes back to the personal growth. It almost happens automatically.
So Jeff, I got a question for you on community. So you're in a community, you start to form this community, and you're getting tight with people, and there's different aspects of the community. There's going to be different people at different levels of leadership in the community. Yeah. How would you, because you're a very straightforward person. You just you're like, hey, let's go, let's grow, let's get things done, let's move into this leadership stuff as fast as we can, right?
Yeah.
So how do you handle people that are maybe not as focused, maybe people that don't take the community as seriously? So maybe, because communities can have a sense of, you get too close and then you start to have these relationships that have some stress in them, that kind of thing, but there's always going to be in every community. So how, as a leader, how do you handle that? Without punching people.
Well, punching is not allowed. If you're in a good community, no punching allowed.
That's right on Jeff's wall.
There's days it should be. Unless you're Josh, then it's punching bunnies.
Yes, much bunny punching.
So this is a kind of a challenging one to answer, right? Because there's always going to be, when you start getting tight with a group of people, there's always going to be some conflict somewhere, right? I mean, when you start getting 10, 12, 14 people together, there's going to be personalities that sometimes are very similar to mine that rub the wrong way, right? Maybe get two very focused direct people in a room, it can be challenging, right? But one of the ways that I know that I go about doing that, just from me personally, right? There's kind of two things. One, there's probably that one person in your life that is a mentor to you in some way, and having that accountability with them to just go say, hey, I see this going on, and not necessarily I see this going on and that other person is being not so nice, but I can feel the tension in myself, and I just need to talk about that tension, right? Because now that allows you to at least get it out there to at least someone else now is, hearing how stupid that I actually am. It's honestly how most of it, right? Because at the end of the day, a lot of it is just my own stuff. If I'm being rubbed the wrong way by someone else, it's because I'm not getting something I want. Right, so then the second part is the reframe, right? So I'm looking for accountability from a mentor and trying to keep me accountable in that. And then the second one is that reframe. I have to take a look at that. You know what? That person is probably trying their best at whatever it is that they're doing. They have amazing skills and amazing gifts that they are trying to use in various ways. And stepping myself back out of that to be grateful for what those strengths that person does have puts it a lot in perspective for me. Just for me personally, because I get that is sometimes a challenge just for me, right? Because I can tend to rub people the wrong way or get it that way. But those conflicts are always going to happen. But doing those reframes to be like, you know what, this person does have a lot of gifts. They are created by God. With just that in alone should be enough, right? For those of us in the Christian faith, right? And just bringing that back in to take myself out of the equation, and then really look at it from a selfless perspective.
Yeah, and I think that that was a fantastic answer, by the way. That was really, really good. And what I think is interesting about that is it's super easy to say that.
It is super easy to say that.
And it's actually not easy, but it's easier to apply it later once you analyze the situation. But the more you do it, and the more you do it, the more you can do it closer to the situation, right? And you just and you realize that if someone is actually really doing something that's kind of a negative in the community, they're doing it because they're just hoping to feel accepted, approved, and appreciated.
Yes.
And if you push back, they don't get that, right? But if you accept and approve and appreciate them, no matter how they're treating you or what that conflict is, and then obviously if there's a serious conflict, you have to talk it out and work it out. But again, that was fantastic, great answer. So Josh, say something really cool like that.
I got nothing. I'm sorry.
Just don't punch the bunny.
Yep.
just don't punch the bunny.
Anything else, or are we wrapping this one up?
I think that's it. I mean, we're at whatever 22 minutes or whatever it is here. So
yeah, but like 12 of that is edited out. I'm just kidding.
Oh, I thought
we didn't goof that much up.
No.
So.
But community is important. It's extraordinarily important, and having that positive community with intentional. So I guess my last question, and maybe we could wrap this up with, is how do you find that community? Which is maybe even the more challenging question of anything that we just talked about. How do you find that group of people that does it?
Yes.
I would avoid Craigslist. That's probably not the right place to go.
Okay, well, I just wasted all day yesterday.
I didn't know you were spending that much time on Craigslist. If that's okay, I'll start with one. I get involved at a church, and I'll even say this, even from a non-Christian perspective, for a second, right? If you are Muslim or some other religion, find your church, right? Find that community that you can be around of like-minded people that are going to move forward in a positive way. We tend to gear towards the Christian side, or that is our belief system is a Christian, so I would tend to everyone that direction, but get involved in a church. That's one place I think it's easy to find that community relatively quickly.
I think it might be a little scary to consider it, but if that's not something that you're super comfortable just going and trying to get involved with that, I think it's also good if you know of somebody with where you work, or a relative or somebody that you look up to, that you admire, that has characteristics that you're trying to pursue or would like to have in your life. Give them a call. Most people who are in positions of that type of stature or have that going well in their life, they're more than willing to turn around and help the next guy figure out how to do it. The pay it forward is just something that kind of comes with that community mindset.
Yeah, it comes with that servant attitude.
It's servant attitude, perfect.
Yeah. And I would wrap up with this, that two things. One, Yeah, well, three things. Go to a Christian church, right? I get what you're saying, Jeff, but I'm gonna lean really hard that way. So even if you are Muslim or something, I think that's good. Go to your church, but also seek out a Christian to see what the differences are, right? So,
Perfect.
Anyway, and that was just on my heart there. But the other things I was just thinking of is two things. One is it doesn't take 15, 20, 50, 100 people to have a community. It takes you and somebody else. So what Josh is saying, if you're seeking that, find someone that you enjoy being around, right? So maybe a friend that you had at work, or someone that a friend from childhood that you grew up with, and you still hang out, you go golfing, you play basketball together, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna have to get on a basketball team now.
I guess so.
Find them and ask them, hey, I'm thinking about just trying to learn and grow in this area, right? And then start it, right? Find some content. There's so much content online to learn and grow. And then be consistent about a time when you get together. And then the other aspect that I was going to mention with that is if you are part of a community, invite others to it. Invite others to it, right? Tell them about it. And sometimes it's kind of weird because you're like, hey, we get together on Monday nights and we go through this, we're going through the Truth Project or whatever it is, or we're going through what are we doing, tactics right now, right?
Yeah.
Just tell people about it. Invite them, right? Not everybody will come, but some people will, and they'll have a fan. That's how our community's grown. It was just inviting people to come and be a part of it. And if you have all those things we were talking about with accepting, approving, appreciating, and having the core group of people, you're going to attract people to that because they'll get a lot out of it. So, but thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you next time with our little community online here. So this is Josh, Jeff, and Terry. Say goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.